So now we come to an interesting part of the lecture. We want to apply the concepts of GDP that we have studied so far and see what it means when we want to interpret it in the context of our Malaysian economy. So what you can see on the slide right now is the trend of the GDP growth or the GDP changes, for Malaysia from 2010 until the estimated 2020. If you look at the figures, if you look at the figures here, all these figures are telling us the values in billion US dollars. This is the time frame, the time period 2010 up to the estimated 2020. You can notice that Malaysia's GDP experienced some kind of growth, a sharp increase from 2010 to 2012, and it continues to grow until 2014. But 2015 and 2016, Malaysian GDP experienced a drop to a lesser value, and then it picks up again in 2017, continued with 2018. The same goes to 2019. So it is estimated in the 2020, but you must remember this estimate was done without thinking that the event, the pandemic, COVID-19 is going to happen. So we would expect this value gonna be different because the economic impact of COVID-19. Now we move on to look at the GDP specifically. We take an example of Malaysia's GDP in the second quarter of 2018. We want to know which sectors of the economy contribute relatively more as compared to other sectors of the economy. In the second quarter of 2018, for example, we can see that the services sector sustained its contribution to our GDP. The total contribution is 55.3%. That is translated into the growth of 6.5%. Lying in second place is the manufacturing sector, which experienced an increase in terms of its contribution is 23.6%. Its growth rate has been registered at 4.9%. Construction also experienced a growth of 4.7%, but relatively construction only contributed 4.5% to the Malaysia's GDP. Mining and quarrying experienced decrease in their production by 2.2%. That is translated into the percentage of contribution to the total GDP, which is 7.9%. Similarly, agricultural sectors experience a reduction by 2.5%, which affect their contribution to the total GDP, which is only at 7.3%. So from this figure we can easily tell that the two main sectors contributing to Malaysia's economy as at the second quarter of 2018 are the services as well as the manufacturing sector. So you can see here, constant 2010 prices. So here meaning we are using the concepts of real GDP. The concept of real GDP, because we compare to the constant year, which is 2010. I would like to remind you again, although I have mentioned this before, when we mention the base year or constant year, so that particular year was chosen not because we like that year or because that year is a beautiful year. The number, for example, you like 2010 so much as compared to the number 2009 or whatsoever. That is not the main characteristic. The main characteristics for a good base year must be a stable year. Stable year in which there is no extraordinary events, such as natural disaster, such as earthquake, extraordinary economic events, political events, So that year must be a clean year, there must be a stable year. When we say clean year, meaning it's free from all these major events. So look like 2020 cannot be a base year because of the incidence of COVID-19. Because COVID-19 is uniquely 2020. So economy may not be performing as well as in other years in which there is no COVID-19. So you can easily tell that, when people ask you, can you take 2020 as the base year? The answer could be no. Why? Because 2020 is not a stable year. It has an extraordinary event happening, COVID-19, that affects the performance of a country's economy. An important concept with regard to GDP is GDP per capita. So GDP per capita is a concept in which, it tells you on average how much a person, a citizen of a country earns. Here you can notice that. With respect to GDP per capita of Malaysia, you see Malaysia in the year 2008, earns on average, Malaysian is $8,392. It dropped in 2009 and then went up again until it reaches the highest value of 11,000 plus US dollars in 2014. After that, our GDP per capita, meaning on average, Malaysians' earning dropped. Dropped by so much, to as low as 9,539 US dollars registered in 2016. After 2016, the economy picked up again, recording more than 9,965 dollars, as in 2017, It goes up to 11,000, yeah, and 11,000, almost 11,200 in 2019. Yeah. So what is this telling us? On average, Malaysians' average earnings or average income has increased, yeah, from 2008 to 2019, although we experienced several episodes of decrease or drop in our average income, yeah, per capita, yeah, in this year and these 3 years as well, yeah. And how do we stand? Yeah, how do we stand in terms of GDP per capita in the world? Maybe you are excited to know also, right? Okay, when you look at the figure that I'm showing to you now, in 2019, the country, yeah, the top 10 country here, look at it. Yeah, you can see the top 10 countries that registered among the highest or the top 10 GDP per capita in the world. Yeah, maybe you are excited to know this. Luxembourg. Do you know where Luxembourg is? It's a country in Europe. Switzerland. Yeah. Macau of China. Norway. Ireland. Qatar. Yeah. Ireland, US, Singapore, and Denmark. And most of these countries, how many of them are actually located in Europe? Yeah, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Norway, Ireland, yeah, and Denmark. Yeah, they make it to the top 10. Yeah, Singapore is ranked number 9. Yeah, one of the highest GDP in the world. Average Singaporean earn around 63,000, close to 64,000 US dollars, yeah, in the year 2019. Yeah, Qatar is close to 70,000 US dollars. Can you spot where Malaysia is? Yeah, in this chart, I do not see Malaysia here in this chart. Yeah, maybe Malaysia is somewhere out of this chart. Yeah, but anyway, when you look at other Asian countries, you can see Japan is ranked number 24. Yeah, with an average income US dollars 40,000 plus. So Japan in terms of GDP per capita is lower than Singapore. Yeah, and if you notice also, many of the European countries are registering high GDP per capita. Okay, it simply tells you that. So the people there produce higher value of gross domestic product, and probably it is also affected by the population of the country. Yeah, we just take a simple example. Qatar. The population of Qatar is small, but they produce more. So the GDP, the value of GDP divided by the small population, of course you get a big number. Yeah. Similarly, you can use the same explanation for Singapore. Yeah, a big country like US, their GDP is high, the population is big, but they still have a higher average, yeah, in terms of the income of its people. Since we cannot find where Malaysia stands in the world standing, let us compare ourselves with our next door neighbors among the Southeast Asian countries. From the 10 ASEAN countries and we compare, I'm not sure whether it's 10 or not, let us count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 ASEAN countries. So I wrongly look at this number 10 here, alright. Okay, when you look at this country, from the figures of GDP from the 1960s to 2019, at the top of the list is Singapore, earning around 62,000 US dollars, followed by Brunei Darussalam. On average, the people in Brunei Darussalam earns about half of what the Singaporean earns. And Malaysia, on average, earns around 12,800 US dollars. When you compare this figure and this figure, even with this figure, you can see the huge difference between countries. And Thailand lies in the 4th place. Indonesia is much lower. Philippines, Vietnam, Laos, Timor-Leste, Cambodia, and Myanmar. I am surprised also to know that Myanmar and Cambodia GDP per capita is lower than Timor-Leste. Timor-Leste is a new country, but they are doing economically better than Cambodia and Myanmar. So one of the important issues that we all have to ask ourselves, is GDP really a good measure of economic well-being of a country? Well, the answer is GDP is the best single measure of economic well-being of a society. Because GDP per person or GDP per capita tell us the income and expenditure of the average person in the economy. Higher GDP per capita indicates higher standard of living, meaning on average a person in a country earns higher, helps that person to establish a better standard of living. They can buy better houses, they can consume better foods, they can buy better clothes, better facilities, and they can enjoy anything that they want that can increase their standard of living. However, GDP is not a perfect measure of happiness. It does not measure the quality of life, because GDP is measured in monetary values, in the value of money. As we all may know, if you agree with me, money cannot buy everything. That is why sometimes you heard that, people who have less money are happier than people who have more money. Maybe you agree, right? Okay? So I want all of you to think, whether this statement is true or not. You can debate with your friends. Some things that contribute to well-being are not included in GDP, and that's one reason why GDP may not be seen as the best or the perfect measure of well-being, because it doesn't include the value of leisure. Leisure means something that you do, your activities other than earning money or working. The value of a clean environment. That is why, environment becomes a very important issue, is a very debated issue in developed countries. They may register very high GDP, but at the same time, the environment suffers. So GDP is only telling us the monetary value of economic development, but it doesn't capture how much the economic activities have destroyed the environment, for example, and the people have to live with that environment. So the value of almost all activity that take place outside of market, such as value of time parents spend with children and the value of volunteers' work. Although these points are important, but they are not easy to quantify. And for that reason also, these elements are not counted in the accounting of a GDP of a country, because it's not easy to measure leisure, not easy to measure clean environment and other values that people enjoy in the country or in the society. With that, with this topic of GDP and economic well-being, I come to the end of this learning unit number 8. I hope none of you fell asleep while listening to my lecture. Feel free to ask me questions. If you have questions, you can ask me on Facebook, in WhatsApp group, or you can send me messages through email. But please be reminded, you need to understand the content of this lecture, because there will be quizzes following every learning unit. I end this session by saying thank you for listening. Thank you for paying attention. Stay safe. Please take care of your good health. I'll see you in the next lesson.